Hey guys, so I had mentioned in my last video that I was going to discuss with you my miscarriage, and I thought this would be a good time to do that. Still waiting for Aunt Flo to show up, so can't really start a new cycle just yet, but I know that this one is a no-go, and I'm a peeing on a stick addict, and every single one of the tests has been negative, so there's really no chance this month. It would have shown up by now. I know my body, and it just didn't happen. So anyway, the miscarriage, we got pregnant in February, like I said, when we were getting worked up for infertility, and it was a huge surprise. We did not expect that to happen. We were ecstatic. We made big plans. We discussed when we wanted to tell our family, and we had decided that it was going to be, we didn't want to do it too early. We didn't want to do it really late and like be telling my parents when we were telling the rest of the family. We thought they should know first, but I was really just not comfortable with telling them right away. In hindsight, I wish we'd told them sooner, because it would have really been nice for them to have enjoyed the happiness that came along with knowing that we were pregnant. But, something to think about next time. So, everything was great. I really did not have many symptoms, maybe some nasal congestion, no nausea. Everything seemed to be like smooth sailing. Around, I guess like 5.5 weeks I started, well, probably beginning of 5 weeks, I started having some really light spotting. It was brown. I kept Googling it. Everything I read said, don't worry about it, it's nothing. If the spotting continues to be brown, that it's fine. Well, it just continued. So for a week I had this, and it seemed to be getting heavier, but still continuing to stay brown in color. So I called my doctor the next week, the beginning of week 6, and she got us in and she did an ultrasound. And during the ultrasound, we got to see the baby's heartbeat, and everything looked good. I don't think that she did an HCG level at that point. She might have. Anyway, everything was progressing fine. The next day, I was at home working on some homework, and I started feeling really ill, like just not nauseated, not, I don't know how to explain it. I didn't feel like myself. So I told myself as soon as I got my discussion board post done, I was going to go lay down, and I would just take a nap and sleep it off. It was probably just that I didn't feel good because of the pregnancy and, getting further along with the pregnancy. Well, I went to lay down, and I became, like, I was shaking like I had the worst chills. I couldn't stop. And I think it was just probably my hormones or something, looking back at it. But I could not stop shaking. So I texted my husband, and I told him that I was really concerned. I did not feel right, and that I was really, really shaky, and I thought that maybe I should get checked out. Well, he told me that I should go to the ER or call a doctor. And I said, I don't know, we were just there yesterday. This seems so ridiculous. So he was pretty insistent that I should do something. So, I hem-hawed around and finally decided that I did want to speak with a doctor. So I called and I talked to the nurse, and I love my doctor. I love the nurses that are there for the most part. I am a nurse, so I understand, difficult patients, and I didn't like the way the nurse treated me when I called. She kept saying, oh, this is your first pregnancy, you shouldn't be, everything's fine, you were just in here yesterday, unless you start bleeding a lot, everything's, peachy keen, and just, rest and you'll be fine. So I felt, kind of embarrassed that I had even called in the first place. And I got off the phone with her, and probably within a half hour, I was having a lot of bleeding, bright red blood. It changed from brown to bright red. So at that point, I asked my husband if he could leave work early and we could go into the ER. And I was really upset. I was pretty sure that I was miscarrying. He came home, and we went up to the ER at the hospital that I work at, which I just felt more comfortable being up there. My insurance, covers the ER visit and everything up there, whereas I wasn't sure how much they would cover if I went to the hospital that was actually closest to me. And I went there knowing that even if I was miscarrying, there was no intervention they could do to save the pregnancy, that it would just take its course, but I just not knowing was awful. And so anyway, we got there, and they did do an ultrasound, and they did an HCG level. I found out that my HCG had actually only gone up about 300 points from the last time that they had checked it. And so at that time, I kind of knew that that wasn't good. The last time, they had checked it the day before. So the last time that they had checked it, it was 24 hours before that, and it had only gone up 300 points, which was nowhere near, the doubling that it's supposed to do within, 24, 48 hours. It wasn't trending right. So that was one indication I had that the pregnancy was not going to make it. The other thing was when they did the ultrasound, although they still did see a heartbeat, the heartbeat was on the low side. And they said that could be a normal finding because it was early, but that coupled with the slowing of the HCG, that together, those two really indicated that there was something going on and going wrong. So I followed up. The bleeding continued, by the way. I left the ER that night. That was all I knew, that I still had a heartbeat and my HCG level wasn't doubling. So I went home, and on the way home, my husband and I talked, and we had not told my parents yet. So we decided that now was the time. If I was going to miscarry, I was going to need their support. And so my dad was working, my dad works nights. We stopped by his workplace and we talked to him first and told him everything. We told him, that we were 6 weeks along and that there was a heartbeat yesterday and there's a heartbeat today at the ER. But I also told him that I wasn't very optimistic that the pregnancy was going to continue based upon the tests that we had run that night. Then from there we went and we talked to my mom and told her pretty much the same thing. They were both really excited for us, but also worried. My sister-in-law is pregnant. She was pregnant as well. It was early along in her pregnancy at that time, and she had had some complications early on in her pregnancy, so they were just really concerned that both of us were having these complicated pregnancies. And but they were definitely supportive and happy for us, so that was nice. The next day, my mom made herself available to me in case things got worse and I just needed somebody to be there with me. And she called me around lunchtime to check in on me because I had some homework to do again. I hadn't finished everything from the day before. And she called me and I was having a lot of pain. My body was trying to miscarry, and a lot of cramping, a lot of bleeding. And so she ended up coming over. I was not good company. I was having a lot of pain. I just wanted to sit on the toilet pretty much the whole day. And so she stayed with me until my husband got home. And then I guess Thursday that week, which was the day after that, we went to see my doctor. And the doctor then did another ultrasound, which showed that an empty gestational sac. So there was no more fetus, and two, I actually had not completely miscarried, so the contents of conception were still present in my uterus. So she ordered for me to have an HCG level drawn that following Monday to make sure that it was dropping. And then she wanted me to come back for a follow-up appointment. I worked at the beginning of the next week, so it was as soon as I could get in, basically the following week, which I think ended up being Thursday again, so it was like a week exactly from when she had confirmed the miscarriage. And at that time I went back in and everything looked the same. There's still an empty gestational sac. I still had not completely miscarried. And I forgot to mention that she had ordered Cytotec for me to take, which I did, and that was awful. It was just basically the same thing that I had on Wednesday all over again on Thursday, and I wouldn't want to do that again. So they wanted me to have a DNC since I was still having significant bleeding, and they scheduled it for that afternoon then. So like Thursday, the second Thursday afternoon, the follow-up appointment. And that, went fine. Everything went normal. To be honest, after the DNC, I felt a lot more like myself than I had in a long time. And it took probably 3 weeks then for my period to return after the miscarriage, and I was very happy at that time that it had. And so now, at the point that I'm at right now, okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. My little jerk dog just jumped the fence, so I had to go chase him down. But anyway, what I was saying is that, we're just waiting for Aunt Flo to return, and then from there we get to try again. And so hopefully you guys will be seeing me soon to